All right, welcome to Patent Frontier, where we discuss how to use AI and technology in patent preparation and prosecution. I'm Dominic, joined by my dad, Manny, 25 plus year patent attorney and founder of Double Helix Law, where we use AI extensively. Today, we will discuss the use of AI when reviewing patent application drafts. All right, I think we can dive right into it with our first question. You have been reviewing
Okay.
patent applications for many years, both in-house and while running Double Helix Law. Do you find the use of AI to review draft patent applications helpful?
Yeah, I find the use of AI very helpful. I mean, it's kind of interesting because our firm and our attorneys and agents started using AI to help us draft applications, quite a while ago. And I was reviewing without using AI for a while. And then it dawned on me, one time as I was doing a review, I'm like, wait, why am I not using AI to help in my review? And since that time, I use AI extensively in my review process. I find it super helpful because, look, we always have time pressure whenever we're drafting applications, and I have time pressure when I'm reviewing applications. And so AI really lets me focus on the most important portions of the specification and application and claims that I really want to make sure we're getting right. For example, I'll think about particular application, what are the key concepts or elements that we're relying on to really help us get around the art and or that we need to make sure we've got good support on from a 112 enablement written description perspective in the specification. And then I can use AI to really help assure one that I can quickly find those claim elements in the claims and also dependent claims by prompting. I mean, it's nice that we've got an AI system that works right within Word. So as I've got the application open, I've got the claims I'm looking at, I'm prompting right there to assure that I'm identifying all the claims that relate to this particular concept, or sometimes I'll call concepts or claim element. And then I can take a look at that claim language, make sure I'm happy with the claim language and that we're consistent about the claim language. I can even prompt AI to confirm that we're being consistent with the claim language related to that concept. And then furthermore, I can prompt AI to identify one or two or three, whatever I want, key paragraphs that describe that particular concept or element. So I can go right there really quickly, it takes me right to those paragraphs, and then I can look and make sure that I'm happy with the way that those concepts and elements are described right in those paragraphs. And if not, the nice thing also is I can use AI and I can either redline myself right there, or if there's something that I notice like inconsistencies, I can use AI to help me to make sure that we're redlining throughout the application to make us consistent. So that's an example of how I use AI, you know, in one very important way. I'm also a stickler about working examples, and I have often seen issues with the consistency between working examples and the claims. So often I'll also use AI to help make sure that the words, phrases that we're using to describe, let's say, some of these key elements in the working examples are the same terms that we're using in the claims. So these are some of the ways I use AI. As a firm, we also generally use AI to help assure, that we've got claim numbering, consecutive claim numbering, that the paragraph numbering is correct in the application, that we've got antecedent basis, all these kind of things, looking for patent profanity, all these things. The team knows to do those things, and that's part of our regular checks. So I don't have to really worry about that at all anymore. I mean, I can focus on the substantive types of issues like what I was describing.
Okay, and you mentioned using AI for both substantive and more grammatical or just error checking. And so for a junior drafter, junior practitioner who's doing the drafting, does AI replace them? Is AI coming up with the very first draft, or is the practitioner using AI? How does AI change that dynamic for the draft that actually falls into your lap?
Yeah, AI is not replacing the original drafter. I think AI is really helping to solve a long-standing issue with patent professionals, which is, as I was mentioning earlier, like we're always under time pressure, cost pressure when we're drafting applications. And AI, I think, allows the original drafter to provide a much higher quality draft to me that I'm reviewing within the time that they've got for a given application. So I don't think at all that AI is replacing the drafter. I think AI helps to, save the drafter from trying to figure out like how do I produce a high quality patent application in this number of hours, especially as the requirements for patent applications continue to increase, especially based on written description and enablement in life sciences and software as well. So I think that it really helps the drafter to do a better job of getting me a high quality patent application in the time that they've got to draft.
There's a lot of AI tools out there. Obviously, ChatGPT, Claude. We're building our own internal tool. There's a number of tools that are specific for patent prep and pros. In the context of your answers here that you mentioned being within Word is helpful. Can what you described be done with more out of the box general large language models like ChatGPT or Claude? Or are there specific tasks that you mentioned that can or can't be done within these other systems?
Yeah, I mean, I think the out of the box large language model certainly can be used and can help, definitely. And I think that the more customized patent prep and process AI tools, those help even more. Like they make it much quicker even to use AI and also do things like minimize hallucinations, do a much better job of making sure AI is not skipping information, which is a big issue that I think a lot of patent professionals don't realize. AI is generally trained to try to skip things, to try to find, do summaries and look at information and documents in ways that make it skip things, take shortcuts. And in patent prosecution, patent drafting, patent law generally, like that's a disaster. Like we don't want to skip words or sentences. We need to know everything that's in a document, a patent application, a piece of prior art. So I think with some of the custom tools for patents and the patent world, I think there's been some innovations that have come out, like for our firm, for example, some of the innovations we've done internally to really help assure that information is not getting missed, basically.
Yeah, I know from my perspective, being more on the junior drafting side, coming up with the initial drafts, it is an iterative process. It's never feed a bunch of information or full documents into ChatGPT and get an output and give that to you. It kind of compounds on itself, iteratively drafting and then iteratively reviewing, it sounds like, from your perspective. So you can get a higher quality initial draft and then work through it iteratively in a quicker and more efficient way. I wonder, are there certain tasks for reviewing that you find better suited for AI or the use of AI?
Well, let me first go to your first point because I mean, there's so much to tease apart in that. One is like as a drafter of patent applications and responses, we're in mid 2026 right now. You absolutely need to know how to use AI effectively to do your job. Like if I'm going to hire somebody else in this patent firm, like I definitely want to know that they know how to use AI, that they've got experience not only prompting, but also experience in drafting applications. Because, like you said, and as you've learned, it's a very iterative process. And, I probably many patent attorneys like us have had that experience where, like, a client sends us, here's our whole patent app. Here you go. Here's a patent application on my new invention. Why don't you take a quick look and file that? No, 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 no. We've seen those. We've looked at those. And like you said, like AI generally, at least as it stands right now, and I think for quite a while to come here, is not good at like doing an entire very large multi-step task, complex task that requires a lot of intellectual experience and thought. Like I don't think it's good at just doing that whole task. And we see that for like when our clients sometimes or others inventors maybe try to use AI to like draft patent applications. Like there's many problems with that and the applications are a disaster, even though they might look like patent applications. The details, when you get into it, they don't work. But like you said, it's really great when you learn as a patent professional how to use AI as a tool. And as you were mentioning, like it's an iterative process. You're really working on small pieces. You're using your own knowledge and training to ask the right questions as you're prompting to see what's coming out. And you can a lot of times clearly see where AI is getting off target because of your experience in the field. So I think that one interesting thing about your comment is reminds me like making sure the team is well trained in using AI, understands how to use it, and has a lot of experience using it is super helpful. As far as the review process, I think, like I was saying, one big thing for me from a substantive senior reviewer is that I can much more quickly focus on the most important aspects of the invention, which, elements and concepts is usually where I'm looking at some key aspects, some key elements and concepts. How are we claiming those? Are we consistently claiming those? How are we describing those in the specification? Are we being consistent with those in the working examples? So I think that's the best, at least one of the best uses of AI for a reviewer who's doing substantive review.
And we're going to change course here slightly and switch it up with a different topic to close this one
Okay.
out. So, specific for life science inventions, do you think it's a good idea to do a prior art search before filing a patent application?
Well, I mean, the short answer is like absolutely. It's required I think it's required for drafting a high quality patent application that you understand the key art related to the inventions that you're trying to cover in a patent application. So it's essential to understand the art landscape to draft a high quality patent application. Now, why, so if that's the case, why when I was in a team of like, leading up teams of, let's say 20, 25 patent professionals, why are we debating for hours sometimes about like, should we do patent searches as routinely or not when we get new invention disclosures? Well, the reason is that there's a lot of nuance in that question, actually. If it's an area, for example, that we've been patenting in for the last 5 years or 10 years, and we've got many patent families in this area, we've got knowledge leaders in our R&D team, and we've got our own searches that were done years ago, as well as more recent searches done by us and or patent offices, then, maybe we don't need to do another search because we've got a landscape. But definitely understanding the patent landscape, this is a best practice. If there's an important patent family in a life sciences, relate for a life sciences company, understanding the patent landscape is absolutely hugely valuable. And we're reminded of this all the time when we're prosecuting patent applications. Because, for example, there's the fact that I need to understand the key art because I need to understand which are the elements and combinations of claim elements that are getting us around the art. So then we know what to focus on in our applications and my review, all that. But in addition, the other thing that I often find is that even for secondary art, it's often very helpful to see it, to know it exists, because it can be really helpful to have negative limitations. Like, oh man, yeah, we didn't think about like somebody might take our claim and think like this other art reads on it, but it's really different in a way that we can clearly claim by a negative limitation. And as you know, like typically it's dangerous, if not impossible, to just add a negative limitation that is not explicitly recited in a patent application. So the short answer is yes, you should do a search before you file a patent application, unless it's an area that you've been patenting in for, many years and you've got a landscape already. Then obviously you've already kind of done deep searching over the years.
I know you've mentioned this to me personally before because you answered yes, we should do a prior art search before filing. Now, who should do the search? Is there benefits and drawbacks to who does the search? Meaning, is it the team that's going to be drafting and filing the application, or is it an outside third party? And then, as a follow-up to that, to stay on topic, for whoever is doing the search, how can AI be leveraged to more efficiently do a better search?
Well, as far as who to do the search, I think definitely that the patent professionals that will be drafting, let's say, a patent application, it is certainly super helpful when they are very involved in the search. Now, it'll depend on the specific situation. Are you in-house? Are you at a law firm? What's the law firm situation? Whether you can do the search yourself. I often find the issue with large firms who that like they'll commission a search, send this off to a search firm, get back the search, and then they kind of like use it that way. But searching is an iterative process. Like there needs to be somebody who understands the invention and patent like law to look at the search and work with the searcher more carefully. And typically there's a few back and forths. Ideally, if if you're in a situation that allows this from a, from a cost standpoint, if the person drafting can do the search themselves, that is super helpful. And obviously, that's going to be a fairly junior person likely to do the search, whether you're in-house or at a smaller firm where rates can allow that. But definitely, I think that the drafter should not just go commission a search and get the results back. And then like, I had a search and I looked at the search results and we like that is a mistake I've seen many times. And that is not the ideal way of doing the process. So and then as far as
Okay.
using AI to do the search, well, a couple of things, like most of the search tools now that I'm aware of, like AI is part of the searching. I think that we've got a long way to go in terms of the models that can be used for those searches done across large databases, because typically from a cost perspective, the providers are using what appear to be pretty, older models. So those need, I think there's still a lot of development to be had there. And hopefully as models keep progressing and the better models get cheaper as they become the older models, that'll all help. But then, just specifically, once you've got like a dozen pieces of art or something like that, there are tools like we've got one we've built internally using AI to really be able to hone in and search through those pieces of art for specific concepts and not be so limited to Boolean searching, which there are key limitations that we all know who've done Boolean searching. That AI is just much better at searching for concepts. So and then using some tricks and tools that we've developed and maybe others have developed too, like we can really make sure we're not missing things. Which AI, as I mentioned before, like it likes to kind of like shortcut and skip things if you don't really carefully kind of, find ways to innovate it to force it to look at everything.
Okay, so I think you mentioned a few things that the iterative process of conducting the search actually could help you come up to speed with the technology or the key nuances of the technology that can help you arguably create a stronger claim set or draft more quickly. And also doing the
Yes.
search.
And just to interrupt you there for a second, is also like the search is way better when it's iterative, because you can't just take some searcher who doesn't know this area well. If you're a patent professional and you've been working in an area, you know this extremely well, generally the technology, and you can educate the searcher as the search is as they're doing the search. So it's both to improve your knowledge of the art and your ability to draft around the art, but also to assure that you're getting a good search. So that I just wanted to clarify that first point.
And then you mentioned the tools that we use, which I might be a little bit more closer to the tools. I'm more doing the searching right now,
Yep.
and they definitely have AI features embedded, but I wanted to comment that maybe it's similar to other areas where it's a combination of typically it's a keyword search that we're doing. You'll use multiple different keywords, create multiple sets of results, review multiple different sets. AI can create their own search result sets that could be reviewed. So it's not a end all to doing keyword searches. It just adds another kind of bucket of results, I think, right now. But
Yeah, that's a very
th
important clarification there. Absolutely. It makes a lot of sense that like when you're talking about searching like, the US patent database, it's a great point you're making, which is those, like I was mentioning, like the tools, for example, the ones that we've seen, the AI models they use, they're not the greatest models, I think, from a cost perspective, but they are helpful and they're useful to use if they're one part of the overall search strategy you're using along with the traditional Boolean searching and other, text-based searching, and also, time-based searching of filing dates and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out. It's like the AI, though, AI part of that is a nice additional new add into that overall toolbox for the general large, searching of large databases. And then absolutely, once we get that down to a workable number, let's say it's a dozen, 15, 20, whatever it is, pieces of, the closest pieces of art, man, that's when AI really can be extraordinarily helpful.
So I think the overall takeaway is AI is very useful, very helpful in an iterative and controlled manner, not just giving it something and asking it to one shot or using it only by itself to get the full task done. Is there anything else that you want to add overall?
Yeah, I mean, hearing you say that, like, absolutely. Like, I think AI, it's an essential tool that we have as patent professionals. It's a very, very powerful tool. And I think that if I look back in my career, it would be like, you know, when we had personal computers instead of typewriters, somebody saying, "Oh, I'm not going to use that personal computer." it's too risky, too dangerous, whatever. And they just kept using a typewriter. Okay, good luck with that. Or when we had the internet, versus not internet. Oh, I can't use the internet. Too much risk in the internet. Like, okay, good luck not using the internet. And like, anyway, I can go on and on about that kind of thing. But absolutely, like, I feel like AI is an essential tool these days we use. And when used intelligently and carefully, it's a game changer for us in the patent profession.
Couldn't have said it better myself, although I don't know the experience of the typewriter to computer transition. So gladly I can't speak on that one. But this is the first video of a series that we're hoping to post. So you can look forward to more videos on how to use AI within patent prep and pros.